Hello, friends, and welcome back to Mysterious Lost. In the vast wilderness, there is something both captivating and unsettling. The beauty of nature can be breathtaking, but its power can also be unforgiving. For some, the wilderness is a place to escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life. But for others, it has become a place where they have vanished without a trace. Robert Ryan Snowberger. 23 years old, Snowberger's family last heard from him at Christmas in 2018. In early 2019, he was hospitalized after a suicide attempt. After he was released from the hospital, he went into the woods for a few days. Snowberger has several tattoos on both forearms, including one of a ghost with the words "boo" and "shit." Tattoos on his knuckles and a tattoo of dots under his eye. Snowberger has large gauged piercings in his ears. He usually styles his hair in dreadlocks and may shave his head. His family got a text from his girlfriend on February 13, 2019, saying they had been in the Ocala National Forest with the Rainbow Coalition, and Snowberger had left, leaving all his belongings and his pet dog behind. He has never been heard from again. Snowberger has connections in Tennessee and Ohio as well as the port, St. Lucie area of Florida. His case remains unsolved. Trenny Lynn Gibson. 16 years old Trenny accompanied 40 of her classmates from Knoxville, Tennessee, on a field trip to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park on October 8, 1976. The students were hiking to Andrews Bald on the trip and separated into small groups when they arrived at the trails. Trenny apparently hiked with several different sections of her classmates at different paces during the day. She was last seen at approximately 3 p.m. near Klingman's Dome, walking on a moderately steep trail with sharp drop-offs and dense undergrowth on both sides. Extensive searches of the park continued until the end of October 1976, but Trenny has never been located. She was a sophomore at Bearden High School at the time of her disappearance. Her case remains unsolved. Germaine Hunter. 39 years old, Hunter was last seen in Forest Lake, Minnesota on April 6, 2012. That day, he broke up with Annette Greer, his girlfriend of 12 years. This was the last time anyone saw him. He has never been heard from again. His family reported him missing about 3 weeks later. Several days after his disappearance was reported, a backpack containing some of his documents was found in a trash bin in Lino Lakes, Minnesota. Greer admitted dumping it there, saying it was because she was concerned about identity theft. Hunter lived with Greer and her brother Aaron Ross at the time of his disappearance. Ross accused Hunter of sexually abusing Ross's daughter, and Hunter disappeared shortly after being confronted. Police investigated Ross's accusation and found no evidence to support it. It's not clear if his disappearance is related to the abuse allegations, but one of Ross's sisters believes Ross murdered Hunter. Both he and Greer are considered persons of interest in Hunter's disappearance. Ross was later convicted of burglary and imprisoned. Greer moved to Wisconsin. Although there was no evidence of foul play at Hunter's residence, investigators stated he was missing under suspicious circumstances. His family stated that he kept in regular touch with them, and it's uncharacteristic of him to leave without warning. His case remains unsolved. Richard William Hardy. 73 years old, Hardy was last seen in Forest Hill, California, on March 27, 1992. He got into an argument with his wife and left the house angry. He left behind his keys and wallet, but took his Bultaco dirt bike and helmet. Hardy has never been heard from again. He is described as a survivalist and may have taken his dirt bike out into the woods. There has been no activity on Hardy's social security number since his disappearance, indicating he did not leave home voluntarily. A search of a nearby canyon where he often camped, fished, and yielded no evidence pointing to his whereabouts. Hardy and his wife, to whom he had been married for 28 years prior to his disappearance, reportedly argued often. His case remains unsolved. Christopher Gail. 40 years old, Gail was last seen in Forest Knolls, California, on January 17, 2005. He has never been heard from again. Few details are available in his case. Luis Vargas Montes. 34 years old. Montes was last seen on the afternoon of August 15, 2008, in Wake Forest, North Carolina. He left work at 5 p.m. and later cashed a check at the Fidelity Bank in the 2200 block of Capitol Boulevard. He failed to pick up his 2-year-old son at the babysitter's that evening, and his girlfriend asked his boss for help finding him. Starting at 10 p.m., Montes' employer made repeated calls to his cellular phone, but never got an answer. Montes has never been heard from again. On August 18th, his employer found his white 4-door 1992 Oldsmobile Cutlass on Six Forks Road near the Upper Barton Creek boat ramp at Falls Lake. The car windows were rolled down and his keys and cellular phone were inside it, as well as a roll of duct tape and a pair of boots. There was no sign of Montes at the scene. Montes' family doesn't believe he left of his own accord, as this is uncharacteristic of his behavior. His boss said that for 8 years he had never missed work without notifying someone. His case remains unsolved. Elizabeth Ann Cutts. 30 years old, Elizabeth was last seen leaving work at Demco Plastics in DeForest, Wisconsin, at approximately 3:15 p.m. on July 27, 2000. She was driving a borrowed green Jeep Cherokee with vanity license plates reading Didius. It was later found abandoned on a parking ramp at Meritair Hospital in downtown Madison, Wisconsin. She has never been heard from again, and extensive searches of the area turned up no evidence as to her whereabouts. Elizabeth's husband of 12 years, Daniel H. Cutts, was arrested a day after his wife disappeared and charged with misdemeanor counts of stalking his wife and obstructing an officer. He was charged with Elizabeth's murder a month later and convicted 5 months after that, in January 2001. The couple's relationship was deteriorating at the time of Elizabeth's disappearance, and she had separated from Daniel, taken their children, and gone to live with her mother outside of Poinet, Wisconsin. She was also seeing another man. Daniel was reportedly extremely distraught about the breakup of his marriage and made threats against his wife. Elizabeth was afraid. The day she disappeared, she told her mother to call the police if she did not arrive home within 30 minutes of leaving work. Daniel maintained that he and Elizabeth rode around in the Jeep Cherokee and discussed their failed marriage on the day of her disappearance, and she dropped him off at a gas station in Madison and said she would continue to Portage, Wisconsin. He stated that he never saw her after that and he never harmed her. Danielle was picked up by police at 11 p.m. that day as he walked down the road, soaking wet, without shoes or a shirt. He said he had left his shoes in the Jeep Cherokee and was walking home, which was 30 miles away. The police dropped Daniel off at his brother's house. He was arrested a short time later. Traces of Elizabeth's blood were found on Daniel's wristwatch after his arrest, and drops of her blood were in the storage area of the Jeep when it was found. The vehicle had been wiped clean of fingerprints on the inside, but Daniel's prints were found on its exterior. Daniel is serving a life sentence for Elizabeth's murder. He maintains his innocence in her case. Her parents raised their 2 children. Elizabeth's remains have never been found, but foul play is suspected in her case due to the circumstances involved. Paula Louise Merchant. 25 years old, Merchant departed from her residence in Forest Acres, South Carolina on January 3, 1999. At approximately 6:30 p.m., she was planning to attend a church meeting on LeGrand Road at the time. She never arrived at her destination and has not been seen again. Merchant was driving her tan 1989 Nissan Sentra at the time of her disappearance. The vehicle was discovered abandoned and burned at approximately 12:09 a.m. on January 4th, several hours after she left home. The car was located in the 2000 block of Commerce Drive in Columbia, South Carolina. There was no sign of her at the scene. Authorities are uncertain if Reynaldo Javier Ray Rivera is connected to Merchant's case. Rivera was charged with the murders of 4 women in the Augusta, Georgia area in October 2000. He had attended the University of South Carolina in the early 1990s and was familiar with the site of Merchant's disappearance. There are differences between Merchant and Rivera's other victims, but there are enough similarities between the crimes to allow further investigation. Investigators are also investigating whether he was involved in the 1992 South Carolina disappearance of Dale Dinwiddie. Rivera admitted to murdering 4 Georgia women, but is a suspect in many more deaths. He was charged with 1 killing in 2000. His victim in that case was a police officer. A native of Puerto Rico and a Navy pilot with an exemplary military record, Rivera was convicted of the police officer's murder in 2004 and sentenced to death plus 7 life terms for related crimes. Merchant is a graduate of Georgia State University and majored in anthropology. She planned to enroll at the University of South Carolina for a master's degree in anthropology. Her case remains unsolved. Bertha May Williams. 58 years old, Williams was last seen in Forest Park, Ohio, on March 18, 2021. Shortly before her disappearance, she told her sister she'd been in an argument with her boyfriend, and she didn't want anyone to know. Her loved ones said it wasn't unusual for her and her boyfriend to argue. She and her boyfriend broke up, and she was dropped off at a friend's house afterward. She and her sister had a group chat and would talk to each other often, but then Williams suddenly stopped responding to the messages. She has never been heard from again. Her sister, who lives out of state, drove to Forest Park in June to file a missing persons report. Williams has been known to frequent the Walnut Hills area of Cincinnati, Ohio, and may have been seen at the Park Eden building in the 2600 block of Park Avenue at some point after her disappearance. The circumstances of her disappearance are unclear. Jerica Lazette Laws. 24 years old, Laws was last seen in Park Forest, Illinois, at 7 p.m. on August 17, 2015. She went for a walk on a trail behind her home in the 200 block of Lee Street, leaving her purse and identification behind, and has never been heard from again. Laws's family described her as a homebody and a churchgoer and stated she had an undiagnosed mental disability. She enjoys walking in Park Forest in Madison, Illinois, and attends a church in Kankakee, Illinois, and she has family in the Indianapolis, Indiana area. She does not drive, and it's uncharacteristic of her to leave without warning. Her case remains unsolved. I hope you enjoyed this video about the 10 most mysterious and unbelievable wilderness disappearances ever. These cases are all tragic, and they serve as a reminder that the wilderness can be a dangerous place. If you have any thoughts or theories on what may have happened to these missing people, please leave a comment below. I would love to hear your ideas. Also, please subscribe to my channel for more videos about missing person cases. I release new videos every week and I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you for watching.